Hello, swing setters. Welcome to 2016 with Life on the Swingset.
Hello, Swingset fans. Welcome to 2016 with Life on the Swingset.
Hey, Swingset fans. Welcome to 2016 with Life on the Swingset.
Hello, Swingset fans. Welcome to 2016 with Life on the Swingset.
You know, as much as I love getting to talk about something new with the rest of the gang every week,
We may enjoy hosting guests,
Storytelling and explanabragging.
We enjoy cultivating different viewpoints, introducing new ideas, and opening minds, but
you're why we keep going.
But you are the reason we keep going.
you're the reason we keep going.
You're the reason we keep going. Life on the Swingset has been the single most rewarding project I have ever worked on. It has allowed me to meet and connect with people that I never would have imagined.
What Swingset is all about is community. It's about being together, even virtually, with kindred spirits all around the world.
Being a part of the Swingset, helping create this thing, and being part of putting it all out into the world means I get to help be a serious part of our national discourse.
We talk the serious talk,
while introducing a serious amount of fun into otherwise awkward or painful topics.
but don't in general take ourselves too seriously.
Being part of the Swingset gives me the chance to explore and really dig into topics I care about with some of the most brilliant, wonderful people I know. And to get to hear their perspectives and then being able to connect with all of you and hear your feedback too is what makes this such an awesome, meaningful thing for me.
We continue to strive to make it that safe haven for whatever variant on safe, sane, and consensual sexuality you want to practice.
As I've gone through my own journey, I've had and I don't say this lightly, the seriously amazing privilege to benefit from your experiences. I listen, I learn, and thanks to that, I'm in the position to introduce radical ideas to people who otherwise couldn't or wouldn't hear the message. I want to continue to do this, and I hope you all continue to make this work worthwhile, because this being meaningful to you means it's meaningful to me.
I sincerely hope in 2016 we can continue to bring you, the fans, exactly what you're looking for on the Swingset.
It never ceases to amaze me when we get messages that we saved marriages, saved relationships, altered the course of human lives. And I hope we can continue to do that as we move into our 6th year.
I'm having a great time here, and I hope that you, the fans, keep having a great time with us.
Welcome to our Lives on the Swingset.
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 In 2016.
In 2016.
In 2016.
In 2016.
Thanks for swinging by. We can't believe that this is already our 6th year on the Swingset, and we want to keep doing this for you all as long as we possibly can. And one of the ways you can help us ensure that we can continue to do that is by supporting our Patreon, which is you signing up to throw us $1 or $2 every time we release an episode. This will help us continue to pay for all the various expenses that surround Swingset, as well as allow us to do more things live in multiple locations. And there are rewards on our Patreon for various levels of support, all the way up to a regular live episode and hangout with the Swingset crew. So please go to lifeontheswingset.com/support and throw us $1 or $2. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you again for all you do, and we look forward to another year on the Swingset. And we will ask you to plug anything and everything you'd like at the end of the show.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like you.
Thought you'd never ask. Great.
Welcome to the Swingset. Climb on up. There is always a swing available. On Life on the Swingset, the podcast, we explore ethically non-monogamous relationships, the pleasures and passions, the promise and pitfalls. We discuss all aspects of ethical non-monogamy in a fun, open, and welcoming fashion, with a gleam in our eye, a bounce in our step, our hands down your pants. Ooh, sorry, got ahead of myself. We may be biased. In fact, we most certainly are. But we don't sugarcoat, and each of us speaks honestly and earnestly about our thoughts, ideas, and experiences throughout our very own lives on the Swingset. Thanks for swinging by.
Hi, Swingset fans. We love you. We love our listeners. We love that you engage us on Twitter at #SSPodcast and on our personal Twitter accounts, but we're greedy and we'd like your help engaging more listeners and more communities. Make sure you follow on Twitter at SwingsetFM and at On The Swingset, and throw our Swingset Family's podcasts and articles a retweet and a like. Also, feel free to yell at Dylan on Twitter. He loves that shit. Hey, who wrote... Oh, God, Cooper, that's the last time I read something without proving it.
We discovered tonight's guest, Andre Shakti, after seeing her in the wonderful adult film Marriage 2.0. Naturally smitten, we followed that internet rabbit hole down and discovered her site and the other work she's done. We immediately wanted to have her on the swing set to talk about a subject we've talked around but never directly about: live porn and webcamming. I'm Cooper, and I have with me...
Hey everybody, it's Ginger.
Hey, it's Dylan Thomas.
It's Krista Ann.
And I'm Andre Shakti.
This episode is apparently, according to Dylan, brought to you by traumatic near tragedy in Toy Story 3 and Windows 10. Windows 10, the operating system that won't allow you to choose what version of Skype to use ever. That's supposed to be ever,
Krista
right,
to
Dylan?
miss therapy.
And look what you did, Windows 10.
Otherwise, it's totally perfect.
No, it is it is so much better than the war crime that is Windows 8.
That is the truth.
Please tweet along with us as you listen to our episode with #SSPodcast. You can find us all on Twitter at Cooper S. Beckett, at Ginger N. the Prof, at Dylan the Thomas, at Pinkness, and at Andre Shakti. And if you like what we're doing here and want to help us keep doing it, you can sign up on our Patreon page to throw us $1 or $10 every time we release an episode, or set a monthly tip at lifeontheswingset.com/support.
You should do it. I do.
She does.
I even pay for the ones I'm on.
It's amazing and surprising, and we appreciate it thoroughly. See, you gotta wonder what level you're supporting at to just be on whenever you want, really.
I don't know if I want to define that level.
She throws it down.
I think I give you guys $2 every episode.
And you are worth. I should give that back to you. Well, welcome, Andre.
Yeah, sorry. I could listen to you guys forever. It's like babysitting all over again.
Oh, God. You're not the first person that said that.
Oh.
And I won't be the last.
I hope not.
I like to think it's part of what they like about us.
The banter?
Well, no, that we have to be babysat, essentially. And that occasionally I call people baby jerks. I think that's what people like about us.
As long as you guys are potty trained and we negotiate beforehand, I'm totally down.
You know what? I was just going to throw in, as long as no one needs me to touch any freaking diapers, we're all good.
Right.
As of 92 days ago, I'm good.
Oh, you've grown up, Dylan. I'm so proud of you. Do you have big boy undies now?
He's pull-ups. He's a pull-ups kid.
Oh, this is getting way too close to my real life.
I know. I was about to say, I think I'm done with this now.
I just need to point out.
You guys can safe word out at any
I need to point out that Ginger has said nothing since this discussion started.
I'm sorry. Wait. What? Are we podcasting? What? Okay. Let's get started. Here we go.
Nice save, Ginger. Nice save.
Well done. So, webcamming. Two of us on this panel have done it.
Can I guess which ones?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I'm going to go with Ginger. And definitely Dylan.
Well, definitely. Dylan went without saying. Dylan was the gimme.
I was going to say, you don't know what I've done, Cooper.
That's okay. I mean, you know what? I guess I made assumptions before the show based on knowledge of Andre and Krista actually doing it. But I suppose anyone on this panel could have been a cam girl or boy.
Well, I'll
Dylan.
tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Just hearing from Andre, I'm noticing a growth area because I have not yet.
Oh.
I have not yet stretched my wings in this area, but it's really hot to consider. I've found myself in a space over the long stretch of time I've been in the sexy world, thinking differently about things that I find sexy. And it's interesting how much that's changed for me over time. And as I consider it and hearing you say it, I'm like, now that you say that, that sounds really, really fun and sexy. I want to figure out how I can make that happen.
I want to figure out how I can support that Patreon.
I was going to say, sign me up.
Yeah, I think Krista has pulled her money from our Patreon and pointed it at yours.
Well, maybe we'll knock it down to like $1.50.
Well, the question is, if we want, we can obviously go in multiple ways here, but would we consider private one-on-one Skype sex in the same realm as camming, or no?
Oh, yeah. I feel like webcamming, it either, can be that one-way mirror, right? The police interrogation room, or it can be Skype. And it's kind of mostly up to the performers, the cammers, personal comfort levels. Some people want that anonymity so that they feel like they are really just like, in a room by themselves jerking off. They don't have to look at anyone else or, stay focused on anybody else. They can just kind of jerk off into like a chat room screen. And then some people enjoy and can also sometimes charge more money for a cam to cam session via Skype.
Do you think it's the natural evolution from those booth shows at the old nudie theaters?
Oh, the peep shows, you mean? I've actually, the only one I was ever at personally was the Lusty Lady the week it closed down in San Francisco. I went there.
Oh God, excuse me while I cry.
Yeah.
That is so hard.
Which I'm gonna just like throw this out there. It does not take, you have to go really far and beyond to like surprise or disgust me in general in life. You need to really, really put in some time. But I'm
so excited to hear what you're about to say.
I know. I was pretty squicked out by the peep show environment. And obviously I was still, rooting for my girls behind the glass and shoving dollars through that slot. But there is nothing sexy to me about being in this like cramped little booth with the walls peeling. It smells like old semen and you're just like trying not to touch anything and like yelling through the glass, the bulletproof glass at these girls, trying to like make them hear you. And it was not an ideal situation.
I'm squicked out hearing that. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, and that just immediately bothers me right there. I am thankful for the webcam environment. So I am in charge fully of how much jizz is around.
It's only the semen that you are smelling when you are whacking up to a webcam session.
Exactly.
But yeah, I feel like I don't actually think that the two are related, in my opinion. Obviously all sex work is related, right? Because the motivation is the same. We're selling sex or the fantasy of sex. But like, I feel like webcamming was the next natural step of evolution, as an offshoot of the pornography market. I feel like the next big thing were live streaming interactions. And before, you kind of just saw that in solo webcam sessions. Now you're seeing a lot of companies trying to market, afraid they're going to lose their business, not only to webcam live streaming business, but to tube sites. They're trying like anything they can to stay relevant. And so now you see like Kink.com, for example, who I work for pretty frequently, they will do live streaming to their shoot. So they'll like set a camera up in the back of one of their regular shoots, and they'll live stream it, and members pay money to come in and watch the shoot live and like be able to make small suggestions and stuff. So what I'm curious about is the next frontier. Like, I already see webcam.
Teledildonics?
What's that?
Teledildonics. I firmly believe that's the next step.
I do too.
It's really shoddy so far. Teledildonics, for those who don't know, is internet-connected sex toys. So on one end, you have a dildo. On the other end, you have a fleshlight, essentially, and they mimic each other. So, I think that's. I mean, isn't the
remember,
whole?
We have cam girls that are already kind of doing that already because they have the audio sensitive toys.
I don't actually think that's going to take off, to be honest with you, because it already exists and the technology could, of course, be much better. But I feel like if it was going to explode, it already would have, because the basic tech is there and is available for not an exorbitant amount of money.
Well, I think the problem is the basic tech is there, but the basic tech is shitty.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, I've used a number of the Teledildonics predecessor products, which are the ones that sync up with the porn. And while each was interesting in a very distinct way, interesting is not really what I go for on a day-to-day masturbation session, especially one that I'm theoretically paying a lot more for because there's a live person on the other end of it.
Mm.
So I think really what happened is you had a lot of companies create something that was almost ready and then release it and then really piss everybody off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
Well,
You'll go developed. Yeah.
Well, see, Cooper, and I say this as a technology person,
yes,
not as somebody who
tell
cams, because I don't think I'd make a lot of money doing it. But
well, hey, you know what? You would have fans, Dylan.
I would have.
You
I would have tens of fans.
Tens of fans. You know, those tens of fans could keep you afloat for days.
They're very, they're very lucrative. But I think Teledildonics is part of the larger picture. If you want to talk about a next generation of camming or experiencing erotica online or whatever you want to call it, because the whole point is to feel something and interact with the performer, right? But you're also losing, if you're just playing with yourself skin on skin, there's nothing really between the interaction. But when you start introducing a toy, especially one that you're going to have to set up and make sure that it's linked to the internet correctly and everything else that you're going to have to do to make sure that it works correctly. Because I think there's the part of the problem is the software layer too. We're still interacting with each other via the web largely, and the web doesn't interact with devices very well. And so that stuff is really hard to do. And so getting all that stuff set up correctly sucks, and it takes away from immersion, because when you're doing whatever you're going to do, you don't want to think about the tech that's necessary to do that. And I really think Teledildonics combined with virtual reality is probably, if there's going to be a next step, even though there's going to be a higher barrier of entry for people because of cost, that might be it. Because between putting on a huge set of goggles on your head, but then being immersed in a wide view environment that's not, that you're not interfering with anything else, and you have something attached to you, or something that you're playing yourself with, I think that combination would make it worthwhile. And I think that's where you're going to go. And the scary part of that, well, maybe not the scary part. We may come to a point where booths become relevant again, because there's such a high barrier of entry for that. If you want to go to a place and do that, you're going to have to pay $800 for just the equipment. Plus, you have to have the computer and the tech and all that stuff. But hey, maybe you can rent a booth, and they have the tech for that already. And you can sit in a room that's been pre-cleaned, and you can put all that stuff on, and all the tech stuff's taken care of. And then all of a sudden, you can get off, enjoy your fantasy, whatever it is.
Dylan, now
I think
you're putting something on your face that has theoretically dried cum on it.
Here's
the problem that I have with this whole conversation is that we're assuming the only people who would be interested in having this tech and using this tech are men, right? So a huge obviously most webcam customers are male. That is absolutely correct. Men are much more likely to pay for sexual services, but if we're talking about access to pornographic content on the internet in general, women are just as likely to be interested in pornographic content. And I feel like if webcamming was marketed in a way that actually appealed to and spoke to women, that women would be more likely to utilize it.
Sure. Yeah.
And if we're now like making that extra step, you know, the thing that I'm thinking about right now is, are you guys familiar with Franklin Vo and Eve Rickert?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they created they made a prototype, which is a strap-on harness and a strap-on dildo that has sensors along the dildo, along the shaft and the tip of the dildo. And the sensors are connected. Now, I'm not a tech person, so bear with me. But they're connected to an insertable piece, not unlike a double-ended dildo when you like insert one into the vagina and then the other end is the dildo part. And it has the sensor attached to the insertable portion that you can insert on someone who's female bodied. And the idea is that when the sensors are stimulated on the dildo, they speak to the sensors that are inside the body and stimulate them. And that I got to actually to demo that on a stage for them for a conference in San Francisco a few months back. And it's a very rough prototype, pretty much as rough as what's being, you know, sold out there on the markets in terms of the teledildonics hardware. But the implications that somebody was actually working on a toy like this for use by people who are female bodied was so attractive to me.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
Cool. So fucking cool. So that I'm like, oh yeah, if I had like this, you know, this strap-on dildo that like I could put on and then like I could, you know, flip open my computer and like, you know, time it to sync it with porn or what have you, or sync it with a webcam, or I had an insertable piece that I could like, you know, jerk off with. Like all of that is really attractive to me, is really enticing to me. But that's going to come so far behind all of the toys that are released towards men, unfortunately for us. So we'll see what happens. But I know for sure, kind of swinging it back to webcamming, that webcam girls, webcam models are not always girls, but webcam models, their average lifespan, honestly, is between like 2 and 6 months. And I know that I was doing it really consistently for, I would say, about 2.5 years. And then just started experiencing a drop off about 1.5 years ago. And the whole industry really experienced a slow decline about 1.5 years ago. And now it's really hard to webcam, actually.
What would you attribute that to?
I would say the people who are the most successful at camming are people who are also involved in pornography, who have these kind of dual fan bases that they can pull from and combine and overlap. So if somebody like, for example, you know, Stoya decides that she's going to cam, you know, 2 nights in a row, you better believe all of Stoya's fans are going to be lined up to interact with her live, you know, because she already has this huge fan base. But if you put a relative unknown, you know, on the internet, and say, hey, you can talk to this person for free, there's just not the newness of it isn't there anymore. Like the novelty of it isn't there anymore. And I think it's losing its luster. You know?
Do you think it's the novelty of the format or the novelty of, say, an individual performer?
I think it's the novelty of the individual performer. I think we're so desensitized to technology that I think the ability to connect with somebody via like a video chat has kind of lost its intrigue, or, you know, its intrigue. So that's just my opinion, though. I mean, I'm sure many people feel differently.
Well, I'm curious, just using that word connection, Andre, that idea of how it is that you connect with, whether it's a full fan base or people that are behind a camera, or, you know, the cam in the sense that they're observing you, or if there's an interaction, what that looks like for you as a performer or as the person who's providing that. What does that connection look and feel like for you?
So I don't do a lot of two-way cam, only because I was really connected to the platform I was using. I was like, when I first started out my porn career, I was working a lot for kink.com, and their platform is called Kink Live, and I got a good percentage rate on the exchange, and I went with them, and it was great because, again, like I was, shooting for them, and the same people who were watching my shoots were also now had the opportunity to connect with me one-on-one, which they consider to be, an upgrade from watching me, from a distance, so to speak, on a shoot. And so now they get to tell me like how much they love my shoot and like how, the things that they liked and things that resonated with them. And now even when I'm not shooting, I mean, I mostly utilize cam. I would say I do a lot of like direct client work. I do a lot of pro dom and like fetish wrestling work, and people will email me internationally being like, oh my gosh, I live in, Sweden, and I would love to session with you, but I'm never going to make it to California. Can we do a cam session instead? And so that's like where I find a lot of my business comes from. And it's really awesome because I get to connect with people from all over the world, most of whom have like seen my work and already like my work. I don't have to like introduce myself to them in a way. And so, yeah, I just see it as another like modality to communicate with people who enjoy my work.
And
get paid.
Yeah, sure.
Let's not forget.
Do you feel like it's sort of an arms race at this point because technology has made it so available? And, I think the tube sites really attacked porn in a way that they couldn't quite recover from. Because, hey, here's all the porn you could ever possibly need right here in front of you for free.
Yeah,
and
the pirating of pornographic content is going to, if anything is going to be the downfall of the porn industry, it's going to be the pirating of pornographic content.
Definitely.
Like, hands down, not live, not people competing with different, like, new, shiny things, genres of the porn industry or technology to use in the porn industry. I mean, look at GoPros. When GoPros came out, I'm sure everybody was like, holy shit, like POV porn just got so much cooler. And like, it didn't do anything. It was just like a cool new vibrator you threw into a scene. That's the impact that it had, So I don't think the tech is the problem. I think it's piracy.
I actually thought that was something kind of interesting about how camming has been going. I mean, I didn't realize there was a downturn in it, but I thought that one of the things that might make it almost piracy proof is that it's necessary to have that. You're interacting with somebody, and you can't emulate that interaction with just static porn.
No, but people can also these days, using technology, they can record from their computers the sessions they're having with you and then just replay them at will instead of coming back and paying you for another session.
That's a good point.
There's all kinds of ways to dupe sex workers. Count the ways.
So I'm 10 years removed. Like, I was camming 10 years ago, and so I've been quiet because this is all fascinating to me. I haven't kept up with how everything has changed. But man, yeah, there were enough ways to dupe us out of money 10 years ago. I can't even fucking imagine what it's like now.
No, it's I mean, the two most common ways I would say are people not even duping, but just like, I guess, the challenges of webcamming from my perspective, doing it over the past few years. Number one, you have to have a tough skin, which is, I mean, that spans the generations, right?
Yeah.
Anybody doing this kind of work needs to have a fucking tough skin. I would say easily half of the women who burn out, people who burn out from doing webcam work, do it because people are fucking trolls and they're just trolls. Or you get people just starting out, and now that you can exchange money through the internet fairly readily, you have this whole game of people, okay, I want to set up a Skype session with you. Well, how do I do that? What third-party processor do I use to send you money? PayPal's no good because...
I was in the lucky golden time when PayPal was okay.
Yeah, I still use PayPal and I've never had a problem. I'm like knocking on wood right now, but I am like the few and far between people.
Yeah, no, they cracked down hard. Actually, when PayPal cracked down hard is part of when I started to quit.
Yep. Yeah, so it's really hard because it's like we don't want to it's the same thing when I take deposits ahead of seeing new clients for dom work. It's like, I don't want a fucking $100 Amazon gift card. I want cash.
Right.
You know, like I want to pay my rent. I don't want like a carpet cleaner. Like I don't, so like that.
Amen.
Like a rug doctor?
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, I have dogs. I could use a rug doctor. Anyone's like add a rug doctor to my Amazon.
So what you're saying is you do want a rug doctor.
You can make money with it.
Saying is I do want a rug doctor.
But she wants to choose her rug doctor when she's ready for her rug doctor.
Thank
right now,
you. I don't want to be forced into picking.
Right on. It's a rug doctor via consent.
Do like Visa gift cards or Amazon, damn it, or American Express gift cards make a difference? Like, can you send those over the internet reliably, or does that not work?
So Visa and MasterCard are pretty much the two most conservative credit card companies. American Express, you don't run into very many issues violating terms of service wise with them, but they charge so many fees for their customers that's why they never, that's why they were never as big as Visa or MasterCard. So most people don't use them anyway. And there are a few cash services that are relatively new. Venmo, Venmo is one of them. What else? GiftRocket.com.
I've heard good things about Dwala also.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Dwala. But I mean, here's the other thing. A lot of my customers are people who are like pushing their like 50s, 60s, 70s. They don't fucking know when I tell them to go to giftrocket.com and send me a deposit. They would rather send me cash in an envelope in the mail because this is just not their era, this is not their comfort zone. So I feel bad, I feel like sometimes it's as challenging for the performers to get paid. And guys will try and, they'll be like, oh, I sent the PayPal thing to you. Like, here's a screenshot of me sending money to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come soon. Can you just turn your cam on for like 5 seconds? And we're like, no. So, it's new ways to dupe people. New technology provides new ways to dupe people, and a lot of campsites have really shitty rates. Like, they'll give you less than 50% of what you actually make. So you have to be careful when you read the contracts when you're originally signing up to make sure that you're getting like a fair percentage of your earnings. And
no, the fear of losing my funds is what was a big part of what drove me out, because there wasn't really any other options 10, 12 years ago. I don't know, however long it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well,
just don't trust. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we're going to take a quick break, and then I want to come back and talk about the fun you've had doing cams. Because I know you must enjoy it, because there are easier ways to make money. So I'd love to talk a little bit about that. When we come back, Life on the Swingset, the podcast. It feels early to be talking about Life on the Swingset's next Desire trip, as we've just barely returned from 2015's trip. But talk about it I shall, because we are already 1/3 sold out of Life on the Swingset's first full resort takeover at Desire. This will be our 5th year at the resort, and our takeover means big things. We will be fully in charge of themes and parties, be running the events, and be providing a geeky, sexy, kinky time with sex toy, pegging, flogging demos, orgies, play parties, and more. All in the sexy, open, and fluid environment you've come to expect from the Swingset. Swinger, poly, nudist, curious? Just want to hang out with awesome open people? The Swingset Takes Over Desire 2016 is the place to do it. For more information and to put down a deposit, go to ssdesire.com. Again, we are already 1/3 sold out. So put down your deposit today. ssdesire.com.
We at the Swingset believe that being risk-aware and practicing safer sex makes our lifestyle exponentially better. With that in mind, we're partnering with Lucky Bloke, global condom experts and the best online source for condoms and lube, to say no to mediocre condoms and bring the most pleasurable, safer sex directly to our listeners. Go to swingsetcondoms.com to see a specially curated selection of condoms, lubes, and assortments to reintroduce variety and excitement into the protection portion of your playtime. You should especially take note of the deluxe sampler put together by us at the Swingset for your party and date night kit. Making your condom purchase here supports both us at the Swingset and the wonderful purveyors of safer sex, the Lucky Bloke. swingsetcondoms.com.
Well,
I did quote you on Twitter as something about the rug doctor. I forgot now what it was.
is it like a double entendre?
No, it just says, I guess it is. I don't want to be forced into a rug doctor, is the quote.
I really need one. I consent to be forced on one. Yeah, please.
You want a rug doctor?
What I need one of those magical hard floor sweeper vac mops like nobody's business. I will suck some serious, like, whatever to get one of those in my life.
Well, we should put that out there. So I'll send you one.
I have water in my basement. I totally could have used it over the last month and a half. So, yeah. I could use more sucking in my life, really.
I like I will suck on whatever, though. Not like I will suck, 500 dicks to get this. Like, I will suck whatever. Just a complete, like, acceptance of...
Just put it in my mouth.
I will
give me the...
As long as it ends with a high-powered sweeper mop for my kitchen, I don't care. Like...
When it comes to online dating, we here at the Swingset believe that Cassidy is the best one out there. It looks great, it's intuitive and easy to use, and it's simply full of potential sexy friends. Still the fastest growing online swinger dating site in the world, Cassidy has been our go-to site for the last 3 years. If you sign up using our link at lifeontheswingset.com/KASIDIE, you'll get some free time to explore the site, and you can decide for yourself if Cassidy is the site for you. Hope to see you there at Cassidy.com.
Are you one of the millions of people who think monogamy isn't a good fit? If you're polyamorous, in an open relationship, a swinger, or curious, InfinityCon is for you. InfinityCon is a sex-positive educational conference covering a wide range of topics on ethical non-monogamy and alternative sexuality. Come for the education, stay for the great social events, including Saturday night's Black Tie Poly Prom. InfinityCon is February 4th through 7th, 2016 in Atlanta. Visit infinitycon.net for tickets and hotel reservations.
Hey all, Cooper here to tell you the exciting news that my best-selling book, My Life on the Swingset, Adventures in Swinging and Polyamory, is now available on Audible. As you may know, if you sign up for Audible now, you can get your first month and first audiobook free. So why not make it mine? Go to audible.mylotss.com and get 8 hours of newly produced audio content now. If you crave other methods of book consumption, you can purchase the DRM-free ebook or paperback, as well as the audiobook direct from me at mylifeontheswingset.com. You know you'd rather hear than read about my epic prostate orgasm. Why not do it now? Welcome back to Life on the Swingset, the podcast. We've talked a lot about the headaches and wallet aches that go along with webcamming. I would love to believe, first, I'm going to just believe that it's also enjoyable to do. And I'm going to put it to you, am I living in a land of make-believe?
Well,
I was going to say,
Okay.
yes, Cooper, you are, but not
Let
necessarily
me-
on this front.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know you well enough to make that assessment.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let's see. Okay, so here's how I'm going to put webcamming. Webcamming, I started out my sex work career as a stripper. I was a stripper for 6 years. So being a stripper is the best way, in my opinion, to start off your sex work career, because between being a stripper and being a full service provider, they're two of the hardest and most difficult, both emotionally and physically taxing forms of sex work that you can do. And so once you've like succeeded at one of those genres of sex work, I feel like it just sets you up for success, not only like for dealing with men in the real world, but also for like going into any other area of sex work. And so, you know, when I was stripping, for example, I love talking to people. I'm, you know, a pretty fluent conversationalist. I can talk about pretty much anything. I can find something to connect to people, you know, come hell or high water. And I was used to, you know, being on my feet for 7 or 8 hour shifts and, you know, having people grab my ass and, you know, running to like make it on stage on time and getting like, you know, taxed fees if I was late to the stage and being made to like pay to dance. And I feel like webcamming is stripping with this beautiful one-way glass mirror interrogation window, you know, like I feel like it's all the best aspects of stripping that I love. For instance, taking my clothes off, like being an exhibitionist. There used to be mirrors lining the back of the strip clubs I worked at. I liked watching myself, so that always got me off. And I love talking to people, but I don't have to fucking touch or smell them. I don't have like a bouncer, you know, coming after me in the dressing room, telling me I'm late for my song. I can take a break whenever I want. I can work from the comfort of my own home. So for me, camming was coming from a stripping background. Camming was amazing and I loved it and I was really good at it. I know for a lot of people, the ratio of conversation, personal interaction having to be on, you know, quote unquote, all the time without necessarily receiving monetary compensation for it all, is more taxing than they want to put in. And I totally get that now, as I've like evolved to other areas of sex work. But yeah, I love talking to people and I love like finding out people's like origin stories about their fetishes, because most of what I do is like really like BDSM fetish oriented. So I love talking to people about, you know, the first time they figured out they liked getting tied up, or the first time they figured out they liked getting like scissor choked by a woman's legs, or like, yeah, I love hearing those coming out stories, so to speak, and like finding out what makes people tick and then like telling them that whatever it is totally hot and okay. And that is my favorite part of the job.
Yeah. Well, it's so awesome to hear you say that, Andre, because that's one of the things that I feel like sometimes in the mythology of sex work, we miss, as if we don't have that experience, people see it as this mantle which you must bear. And to be able to have this exchange in hearing about your experience with the exchange and hearing origin stories and however that serves you, it's really awesome to hear that, because I'm always of the philosophy of getting outside of that mythology and really being in the space of let's hear everyone's experience, not that everyone's experience individually speaks for the rest, but let's do a lot of listening. And I feel like that in terms of sex work is a really important piece of the puzzle, is really listening to everyone's experience of how it serves them, whether it's, you know, being on one side or the other of that experience, and recognizing that that's a valuable connection for people, whatever that means. And so I'm excited to hear your experience and your sharing with that you're able to give voice to that and be in that space of, you know what, this is what works for me. And I don't know what works for anybody else, but this is what works for me. And this is what I found interesting or valuable or novel or fascinating. And you don't need to come in here in this space and rescue me or tell me what it should or shouldn't be for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I've never gotten like any Captain Save-A-Hose as customers.
Right on.
I used to eat those for breakfast.
I have every day. I know a lot of, and I think honestly it's because I've always promoted myself. So I live pretty authentically. And what that means for me is I don't do any kind of sex work that I'm not actually personally into. And I feel like it's why I've been able to do sex work for, it'll be 10 years in March. And I have now, and I've never taken like a break or like a long intentional hiatus. And so I feel really fortunate that I've been able to do that. It's kind of like saying I've never had a job that I've, never not thoroughly enjoyed, which like how many people can say that these days. I just don't see a point in pretending to be like excited about something that doesn't actually turn you on or interest you. And one of the things that I don't identify as, that I don't really identify as a submissive. And I feel like people, particularly women who identify as more submissive or make more submissive services available, I think they're automatically cast in a more vulnerable light. And then I think they're automatically made more vulnerable to people suggesting that or telling them outright that, they're worthless, or the work that they're doing, isn't real work, or that they're in it for the wrong reasons, or that they're going to sweep in and, ferry them off to Cabo or whatever. So I think just because I've always identified as pretty dominant and like come across that way, and also always been really self-assured and only really like advertise things that I'm like obviously very excited about and good at. I think people are less likely to challenge me because of it. And so, yeah, I haven't had to deal with a lot of wankers in that respect. It's mostly been chasing money for me.
Yeah, it was mostly chasing money for me too. But like, I've just, the whole time you're talking, I'm nodding my head and I co-sign all of that. Yes, totally. Congrats on 10 years.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually really excited. I'm gonna go get a tattoo to.
Hell yeah!
It's the first thing I ever did is I worked at a strip club in Baltimore City called the Crazy Russian, that was owned by a thoroughly insane Russian woman and her equally crazy Russian husband. And I was like one of two American girls who worked there. And anyway, that was like my hazing into the sex industry, and I loved every second of it. And so I think I'm going to go get a Crazy Russian tattoo in March to celebrate. But
I can't wait to put pictures on Twitter so I can applaud along.
Oh, of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
So as the industry is experiencing some difficulties, let's just say, what would you recommend to anyone who is interested? Because we know a lot of people who are curious and interested, and not just Ginger. Maybe Dylan too, who would like to try out cam modeling, but maybe are a little nervous.
Well, I mean, I have a few general rules, like rules of thumb, especially if this is your first time doing any kind of sex work, which oftentimes it is, because as long as you are careful about separation of identity, it's one of the more like anonymous, commitment-less ways to get into the sex industry. And so I would say if this is your first time, you do have to have a thick skin. You do have to be prepared that people are going to say really fucking terrible things about you, that by simply putting yourself out there as a sex worker in the industry, that you are by no means deserving of any of this or asking for it. But unfortunately, you're putting yourself in a position of power. When people are given attention of any kind, it gives them power. And, we wield that power in our Twitter followers. We wield that power in our YouTube channel followers. So people are going to be angry. Men are going to be angry that they can't have you, that they can't have access to you the way that they want to. And they're going to say some really fucking terrible things. And you have to learn really good self-care strategies to help you not internalize those things. And that's the worst of it. I would also say definitely do your research which sites you want to use, research which methods of payment you're going to use if you're going to strike out on your own and just advertise Skype sessions. Talk to a lot of girls, join community groups. There are community groups for sex workers now on Facebook. There are community groups branching off of websites advertising sex services like Eros and Slixa. So I would say talk to performers. And then two things that would happen to me sometimes is sometimes webcamming is so easy that you get home and you're like, oh my God, I want to jerk off so badly. And then you're like, why don't I just turn the camera on and make some money off of it? Why would I just jerk off for me? Why don't I just monetize it? The idea of monetizing your sexuality is really attractive and really dangerous. And to make sure that you're still celebrating a sexual identity that's separate from your cam identity, sure. And leaving space for that, I would say is something that's really important.
I just nodded my head right on off. Yes.
I was imagining a bunch of bobbleheads.
Pretty much.
I was taking notes.
I actually pulled out my lighter and if you're old enough to know what that means, I pulled out my lighter.
So your lighter app, and then you flick it, and
I did. It was my app. Did you really have to call me out on the app? Seriously, that was I'm really that's a meaningful piece of this puzzle, because I feel like there's so much to the fact that these are viable options for lots and lots of humans, and to keep your own identity sacred is an important piece of this. And I love to hear you give voice to that, Andre, and you, Krista, too. That's giving voice to that is fundamental to what we want to it's all sacred. All of that is sacred. The connection is sacred. And so if you are the ones who are holding that sacred in that way, and whatever that means for you, then you can maintain your own sacredness, standards, connection, value, whatever that is. And as long as it works for you, then it works.
I think it's funny, and we're all in a corner of the sex industry here. Watch me compare myself to what you have done. But what's really interesting, I find, is the moment you're talking about sex, because it is such a personal thing, or performing about sex, or involved in sex, people sort of overlook what used to be dividing boundaries between you and other people. Because you have opened up about something that is, in general society, very private and personal. By opening it up, people sort of assume, well, I guess you're that open about everything, so I guess you owe me that openness about everything. Have you experienced that?
I have, and I'm actually a terrible person to talk to about this, because as you've probably noticed from viewing my social media profiles, I am very much somebody who conflates both their government IRL identity with their sex work identity. I never created a separate character. Mm-hmm. And so issues of privacy, while they are extremely important to me as a general issue for folks in the sex industry, are not something I'm quite so concerned with. I don't get, I don't get worked up if a customer tells me they went to go pay me a PayPal deposit and they saw my legal name, for example.
Yeah.
Like I don't get worked up if somebody says, "Hey, I just like got your IP address and it looks like that you're streaming from San Francisco. How's the weather?" You know, for a lot of people in the industry, that feels like an invasion of privacy and is an invasion of privacy. But for me, I've just always lived so openly that that kind of there's a really open like 4-lane freeway running between Ariana Travellini, which is my legal name, and Andre Shakti, which is my performer name. And like my mom knows what I do, my first grade teacher knows what I do, like all of my exes. If you meet me, chances are you know what I do. So yeah, for me personally, never been as big of an issue. For a lot of people in the industry, particularly webcam performers and porn performers, absolutely an issue.
Wow. Oh.
Did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here. Sometimes things just stop.
Well, it's so impactful. It's so profound. I just, that's what an amazing gift to be at that place for you. Rock on. Like that's seriously huge and awesome. And I was speechless, obviously.
Now, on the other side of the coin, have you experienced, the privacy thing is one thing, but the sort of earned access, not earned access, the
feeling of entitlement.
Yes, entitled access, demanded access to you and to things that you maybe aren't sharing, that aren't even about your legal, secure privacy, but more about, I just don't want to talk to you about that. You know?
Yeah, I don't really have that.
Oh, okay.
Like honestly, if you like look at my Twitter feed, for example, like there are so many photos of like my partners and like my poly family, and like I'm just, I don't know, like they've all given consent to like whatever level I, out
sure
people in my real life, in my sex work life. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever run into any of that. I've also, I'm speaking as somebody from a place of privilege, right? I'm speaking as a white person who grew up like upper middle class backgrounds, divorced parents, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Never sexually assaulted, never sexually abused. I don't have a lot of so-called triggers. So, for me, if I'm in a session and somebody says, "Hey, how about some race play," for example, that's going to be a boundary of mine, but it's not necessarily something that is going to trigger something, or something that's going to like end the session, or make me be like, "Oh my God, never say that ever again to me," because I don't have a life experience that would speak to that. Or if someone brings up rape play, how are you into non-consent play? Can we do some of that? That's not going to be like, no, I don't do that. Or, can I pretend that I'm your partner and you're like fucking me like your partner with the strap on? I'm not going to be like, oh no, that's too personal, because that's like how I actually fuck my partner in real life. I was born without these filters. I don't know where. I don't know what they feel like. So many people have them, and it's so healthy for so many people to create those areas of separation. It is its own self-care in a way for a lot of people, but just never, I've never felt the need to do that. There is almost nothing that is like off limits in terms of like conversation. I'm pretty much an open book.
Yeah, I relate to that very strongly. Krista Ann is my legal name. Krista Ann Arenda. I have worked under this name my entire life. Yeah, nothing's off limits. I have trauma in my background, but like I've dealt with that shit, and it doesn't trip me up. Like, I totally feel you on all that.
I really applaud the lack of filter, the living fully out. living fully
but also
in the
think
world.
of it this way: like I'm doing that without having a career in education. I'm doing that without like having children that I have to worry about somebody deciding they're going to like attack my career choices and come after my kids and the custody of my kids. I mean, that's like what I'm speaking out like with privilege. It's like I'm really happy that I can do that, and it's totally what feels naturally to me and how I've been the whole time I've been in the industry. But at the same time, I was set up for success, both like, with how I was born into this world and also like the decisions that I made. I mean, I don't hold any fantasies about running for public office one day. I don't like, I'm not trying to, I applied to graduate school after my bachelor's degree, and I was slut shamed during one of my graduate school interviews. And it is directly when I came out as a sex worker and expressed my interest in doing research studies related to the industry. And they right thereafter, told me I would not be admitted to that school to my face. So I've experienced levels of discrimination related to how out I am about the work I do, certainly. But it's never been, for some reason, I've always just seen living authentically as being vastly more important than like, fame, fortune, and traditional family value accolades. So I don't know. I'm a weirdo.
You're in good company.
Yes.
I don't know. I would guess that none of us here are necessarily into those traditional family values accolades. So I'm gonna go out on a limb, and so I'm glad we share that. Really,
family roundtable discussion.
right.
I'll moderate.
Well, we are swingers for Jesus.
What?
I don't think SFJ is a thing, Cooper, but we could make it that.
Then I tried to think of a way that it could be swinging from the cross, and I went down a rabbit hole.
It went bad so fast. It went bad so fast.
Like on the nails.
No, bad.
Bad Cooper. Bad Cooper.
I should wrap it up there, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Things are closing in around me, aren't they?
They really are.
Yeah.
Right at this moment. Absolutely.
Well, then I would say, Andre, is there anything you would love for our listeners to know about, where they can find you, how they can learn all about you on Twitter, all those things?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned before, I see you're really good at the Twittering thing. I
do it a lot.
Your fingers are so practiced. I'm at Andre Shakti on Twitter. I'm Andre like the giant, not Andrea or Andrea. I am a lady named Andre. And you can find me at AndreShaktiXXX.com, which mostly serves as a calendar for upcoming events, workshops I'm teaching, panels I'm moderating, that kind of thing.
But has the hottest promo video ever on it.
Has a really good
promo.
Does.
Just saying.
Has a really, that's Isabel Dressler right there. That's a really good promo video.
Yeah.
And then if you're in San Francisco, on Saturday, February 6th, which is the night before Super Bowl 50 here in California, and you want to come watch beautiful porn star Daisy Ducati and I get it on stage at Little Darlings, which is a strip club in San Francisco, then I would encourage you to ring in the Super Bowl that way, because it's going to be a really good time.
Now that my Packers are out, I know what I'm doing. Flying across country.
Yes.
And when you said Packer, I wasn't quite sure where to go with that. It took me just a second, but now I'm there with you.
That's what I'm here for.
Krista, I would like to see your Packer. Just saying.
Haven't you already?
I have.
Now, Cooper, really quick, I thought...
What a day that was. Hold on, Dylan. I'm thinking about a time. Okay, you were saying, sir.
Well, it is one of my New Year's resolutions to interrupt you 20% less in the outro.
So you're interrupting me before the outro. Well done.
Well, no, I don't think I'm interrupting anything. I waited patiently for you to call on me.
That's
teacher.
true. That's true.
And I wanted to let you know that swingersforjesus.com is taken. However,
seriously?
Wait, what?
No, hold on.
What about Swingers for Christ?
I don't know yet, but swingingforjesus.com is open.
Oh. No, you know what my New Year's resolution is? Only buy fucking domains I'm going to do something with. Because I added them up. I have 45 website domains.
Oh.
That's it?
That's a lot. How many do you have?
It is a lot. I have like 15, but
that doesn't include all the ones I've already let expire.
I just expected more from you.
Wow.
Swingersforchrist.com is available.
If I could just circle us back to where Dylan is right now in this conversation, that there are these domains.
No. Well, yes.
I mean, just be with that just for a minute.
But we knew about the religious swingers site. That was like Reddit news for a month.
Okay, so then be with the experience of being at the Swingers for Christ conference. Just for a second.
Wait, conference?
Desire 2017, Swingers for Christ.
I like it.
Now I have I could hang with it. You know that I have.
You could hang. You could hang with it. Do you do that when you're feeling unappreciated for your your sacrifices?
Okay, so
I'm gonna get out of here.
I'm gonna say, wait. Did this podcast already end?
I'm so sorry, Andre, I'm so sorry.
Just like I was wondering if it started. Did it already end, or do we have to do an outro? I'm just wondering.
We have to do an outro.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. You can, believe it or not, like us on Facebook at Swingers for Christ. At facebook.com/theswingset. You can check out this podcast, daily blogs, articles, and toy reviews on our website at lifeontheswingset.com and on our site's Twitter feed at @ontheswingset. It is a new year, and just like a lot of people start using their gym membership, if you want to start blogging for the Swing Set, email submission@lifeontheswingset.com, and Mika will judge your submission.
Whoa.
Yeah. You can email us also at contact@lifeontheswingset.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail, send us a text at 573-55-SWING. That's 573-557-9464. If you have an episode idea for us, please do share. Email episodes@lifeontheswingset.com. Don't forget to buy your condoms from the Lucky Bloke at swingsetcondoms.com. They are the premier Swingset condom supplier. Dylan, you're buying from them now, right?
I have submitted 2 purchases through them now.
Excellent. See, that's called planning ahead. You can find our other great podcasts like the Gentle Pervert Social Club, which had an amazing discussion about trigger warnings, Dylan. I wanted to compliment you about that. Well done.
Thank you.
And yes, Krista and Aaron were on it.
Apparently, Cooper didn't actually listen.
Totally. I read the description on the tweet. Also, Intellectual Foreplay, The Kinky Geeks Eat the Rudecast, a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks, Sex Ed a Go-Go, and Tell Me Something Good at swingset.fm. You can listen to Katie Mack on the Carnalcopia podcast at thecarnalcopia.com. And finally, you can buy My Life on the Swing Set, Adventures in Swinging and Polyamory as an ebook, paperback, or audiobook at mylifeontheswingset.com and pre-order my novel, A Life Less Monogamous, and save 25% on the ebook or paperback at alifelessmonogamous.com. Thanks for swinging by. See, I took a long breath there because I'm so used to that being you're in, Dylan.
I know.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'm just making more space for you to interrupt yourself.
That's true. When you don't do it, I do it. That's true.
Have a sexy business? Love the swing set? Let's put these 2 great things together. The Swingset Network has advertising and sponsorship packages available for our websites and podcasts. Email advertising@lifeontheswingset.com for more information. Thanks.
I like the person who recommended the Tingler.
I didn't see that.
It's not good.
Sounds like a vibrator. What is that?
It's one of those old William Castle 1950s horror movies where the gimmick was he would go to each theater it was playing at and wire up about 10 seats to give a jolt at a certain point in the movie and make people scream. So when you see it at home, it doesn't matter. In other words.
Oh, that's so funny. And now I'm back on my thread. God, see, but between the time that I went to sleep,
there are a lot of movies.
There are 43 people, including my roommate who recommended The Brave Little Toaster, which personally was my favorite recommendation.
Well, I was shown the car crushing scene from The Brave Little Toaster. I had forgotten that.
When they're in the junkyard?
Yeah, with the singing car crushers that look like monsters.
Yep.
Wow, that's terrifying. Huh. Yeah,
it's
just
like
terrifying.
Bound. It's a movie that will like forever evoke fear and tears, like no matter how old you are. It's just
right up there with Pink Elephants and the Heffalumps and Woozles from the original Winnie the Pooh.
The Heffalumps and Woozles are terrifying.
It is.
Wait a sec, wasn't there a really scary moment in Toy Story 3 where one of the toys got half eaten up in one of the conveyor belts or something like that?
Well, there was the incinerator scene where all of the toys almost died.
Yeah. That was
like all of them. And the soul crushing moment where they accept their death.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's what.
Coop, you sound like you have some feelings about that. Do you want to talk about it?
I always want to talk about Toy Story 3. It may be the best movie I've ever seen.
I know we were going to talk about fisting and shit.
We should talk about Toy Story 3. I think no one would expect it.
That's why they pay me the big bucks to talk about animated features that could be converted into horror movies. Did you ever see those trailers someone made? They released them on YouTube maybe a year or two ago. And they took Mary Poppins, the trailer.
Oh, yes.
And they made it into a horror movie, and they took the trailer for The Shining and made it into a comedy.
Yeah,
trailer.
That Shining trailer is one of my favorites.
Oh my God, they're wonderful.
And it was all built with the actual audio from The Shining, except for one line of dialogue, which was taken from About Schmidt.
Oh, God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, where he says, "I'm your new foster father." That was the only thing they needed to give that the plot they wanted.
Oh, man. Now I'm adding it to my horror movie list.
About Schmidt is not a horror movie, though.
I know, it's Jack Nicholson.
It's good, but it's sort of sad.
I don't know. I just can't watch. I love, actors like Jack Nicholson and Bill Murray so deeply that I can't even look at them these days sometimes because of how they've so visibly aged. It just makes want to throw up. So I revel in the nostalgic films like One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest and Groundhog Day.
I like that 1-2 combo, really.
I always wanted to do I'm going to tell you guys something I don't think I've ever told anybody, but I always wanted to do, maybe I should save the story for the air, but I always wanted to do a porn that was kind of a Groundhog Day idea. So hold on, stay with me.
I'm with you.
All right, so two people go out on a date and they go home together and they have really bad sex. And then the next morning they wake up and it's Groundhog Day. So they do the same day all over again. But each time they have sex, the sex gets better and better because inherently they're actually becoming more familiar with each other's bodies, even though they don't realize it. Isn't that
awesome?
A good idea?
Now, see, you have to come out by me to shoot it, and let me tell you why. Groundhog Day was shot 30 minutes from my house.
Shut up. Are you in Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. I've never been.
For a while, I was going to the Groundhog Festival, which they do every year there, and you can watch the movie for free in the theater they go to in the movie.
Oh, my God.
It's pretty cool.
Funny, weird linear coincidence. I grew up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In Pennsylvania, we actually have Groundhog Day, where Puxatawny Phil,
sure,
they hold up the goddamn groundhog and see if he saw his shadow, and then they tell you how long winter's going to be.
It is funny that so you got to go to the actual Groundhog Festival that they based the movie off of, and I go to the one that takes place in the town that they used instead.
We're living parallel lives.
We are. I think that's what we've learned here. That we're basically the same person.
Yeah, I hear someone. I'm not looking at the Skype window, but I hear someone like coming in and out.
Yeah,
I hear the bleeps and the bloops.
She says she's.
Hey.
Oh my gosh! I have not been that close to slinging my computer through a window.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
I'm glad I did it. It's kind of how I make my living.
You'd regret that tomorrow, and you'd blame me.
No, I would not blame you. I would blame Windows 10.
Oh my God.
Sorry. My bad.
Was it trying to do the upgrade while you were trying to connect with Skype? Is that the problem? Did it get so insistent?
No, so it kept trying to force me to use the Windows 10 Skype app instead of the other Skype app.
Yeah.
I had this problem in therapy this weekend.
Like you talked about this problem in therapy, or your therapist wanted you to update?
We're delving into a lot of emotional issues today.
We are. No, I missed time. Like I missed half of my time because my Skype kept doing that same jump.
Ugh.
And I can't rip the fucker out. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
No, I get it. I don't want to use the built-in app. Mostly because it makes me use my real name, and I don't like that. Windows should force that.
Hi, Ginger.
Hi,
Ginger.
Hi, Krista. How are you?
Oh, I'm better now.
Apparently,
could you guys there's so many of you. It's like this beautiful orgy right now. Could you all just introduce yourselves?
That tends to happen when we all get together.
Absolutely.
Just so you know.
So I'm Cooper.
Great, I know you, Coop.
I'm Krista. Or
Hi,
Krista.
Krista.
Hi.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Dylan Thomas.
Oh, the Dylan Thomas voice.
Yeah.
And I'm Ginger. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
This is Aislinn Emerzian, co-author of The Ultimate